So in this case here, what I'm trying to do is take this posterior movement happening. Now there's several ways I can do this. One, I can set up shop, distracting it like I did before and creating this posterior movement. I'm going to do this in a couple different ways. And then the other one I can do, there's a couple that I can do, and I'm going to couple it with a hip flexion movement as well. So in this case, if I'm not using the hip flexion movement, I'm going to be at the ASIS. That ASIS is going to be hooked onto the anterior surface of the ASIS, and it's going to pull the ASIS in this direction, right? This superior, posterior, then inferior direction, kind of like, in this case, this counterclockwise direction. And the other point of contact I'm going to use is the ischial tuberosity. I'm going to send the ischial tuberosity in that same kind of counterclockwise direction, but from the bottom. So here's the setup. From here, ischial tuberosity. And then once I'm in here, this is the movement. Now, all of this tissue slack, I go right through that. So there, beyond the tissue slack, now I'm into the joint space, and now I can mobilize that through. Not a massive amount of movement. She can feel it, I can feel it, but you're not going to see it. It's not going to translate. Even forget the cameras, not translating through the cameras. I'm staring at it now. It doesn't look like anything, but it's a palpation thing where we both feel that. Another way we can do this type of mobilization, this posterior movement, in Sidelying, we can also start to use the hip for flexion. I'm going to have the patient turning towards me this time, and then let's start with camera 2 on this. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we can do this mobilization. So I'm going to have you slide towards me a little bit more, right to the edge. So the setup is this. I'm here, and I'm creating this passive range of motion with hip flexion. And again, along with that hip flexion is this component motion of this posterior rotation of the ilium. So from here, I can go right onto the ischial tuberosity and mobilize it in that circular type of way as I flex the hip. So there would be my mobilization. Again, this is easy to do with your patient. Don't undrape them. Keep the sheets right over top of them. Take this like this, step right in. You're good to go. They're still covered sheet. There's no contact with your body anywhere. And as you can see through this overtop view, well, maybe not through the color of my clothes, but there's a pretty good space between us here. And then from here, I'm going to mobilize that in this posterior direction, charging it from the ischial tuberosity. Cool? We can also do the same movement. Instead of my hands at the ischial tuberosity, and instead of me holding the thigh, I've got the thigh on my hip. So you might be able to see this better through camera 1. Where I've got her leg sitting right on top of my hip. That way, this movement of flexion is coming from me rocking. I'm going to set up shop here. I'm fingers hooked around the iliac crest. My thenar into the ASIS, pushing the ASIS posteriorly and posterior inferior in this circular manner. And this hook is right on, my forearm is right on the external surface of the ilium with the gluteals. And this is my move. Maybe we can get an overhead shot of that one. And I'll pull my head out of the way. And there's the mob using my body.